IRCC has recently updated the settlement fund requirements for multiple immigration programs, and the amounts are higher than ever. For international students, the required proof of living expenses is set to jump again this September. Is your proof of funds the single most scrutinized part of your application ready for these new numbers? A single mistake here is a top reason for refusal, but is also one of the most avoidable. In this video, I'm cutting through the confusion with a strategic plan based entirely on official requirements. We will cover everything from the golden rules that IRCC officers live by to the exact requirements for express entry, study permits, and sponsorship, and how to handle complicated situations like gift money or selling property. Stay with me, and by the end of this guide, you will have a clear checklist to ensure your proof of funds is bulletproof. Hi, if you're new to my channel, I'm Bella. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. My job is to help aspiring immigrants like you develop a personalized strategy that makes your journey to Canada as simple and stress-free as possible. That's the work I do with my clients every day, and it's the same guidance I'll be sharing with you right here. To start, it is critical for us to understand why this requirement exists in the first place. Proof of funds, often called settlement funds, is a cornerstone of Canada's economic immigration policy. It's important to know that this is not a fee you pay to the government. Instead, it is your way of demonstrating that you have the financial ability to support yourself and your family when you first arrive in Canada. It proves that you can cover essential costs like rent, food, and transportation while you search for a job and settle into your new life. The core mandate of Immigration, Refugee, and Citizenship Canada, or IRCC, is to ensure that newcomers can establish themselves economically without needing to rely on public social assistance programs. This policy is fundamentally a risk mitigation strategy for the Canadian government. By requiring you to show sufficient funds, the initial financial risk of resettlement is placed on the individual, not the state. When an immigration officer reviews your file, their primary question is whether you will be able to succeed on your own. This entire requirement is rooted in Canadian law, the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, which gives officers the legal authority to assess your financial admissibility as a key part of your application. So understanding this helps you prepare your documents not just to meet the checklist, but to build a convincing case for your financial stability. To be accepted by IRCC, your funds must meet 3 non-negotiable criteria. These are the golden rules that apply across almost every immigration program. Rule number 1, unencumbered funds. First, your funds must be unencumbered. This means that the money must be 100% yours, free of any debts or obligations. IRCC explicitly prohibits the use of borrowed money. This includes personal loans, lines of credit, and even informal loans from family or friends. The money must be yours to use without any other party having a legal or financial claim to it. Rule number 2, liquid and accessible funds. The funds must be liquid and readily accessible. Liquid means the money is available as cash that you can access the moment you land in Canada. This is why equity in real estate is explicitly disallowed. You cannot pay for groceries with a piece of your house. While assets like stocks and bonds can be used, but they must first be sold or liquidated with cash deposited into your bank account. The responsibility is entirely on you to prove that these funds are available for your use in Canada. Rule number 3, verifiable funds. Your funds must be verifiable. The origin and history of your money must be transparent and provable with official documents. IRCC officers are trained to detect what is often called show money, funds that are temporarily parked in an account just to meet the requirement. They do this by carefully scrutinizing your financial history, which we will discuss next. A quick note on prohibited sources. Cryptocurrency is not an acceptable form of proof of funds. The Canadian government considers it too volatile and does not recognize it as legal tender. If you hold health in crypto, you must fully liquidate it into a national currency like Canadian or US dollars, deposit it into a traditional bank, and then be prepared to document the source of that large deposit just like any other lump sum. One of the most frequent and critical errors applicants make is miscalculating their family size. This simple mistake can lead to an automatic refusal because the amount of money you need is tied directly to this number. The calculation must include the following people: yourself, which is the principal applicant, your spouse or common law partner, your dependent children, your spouse or common law partner's dependent children. Now, here's the critical nuance that many people miss. You must include these family members even if they're not immigrating with you. And the second critical nuance, you must also include them even if they are already Canadian citizens or permanent residents. Let's look at two clear examples. If you are immigrating alone, but you have a spouse and one child who are staying in your home country, your family size for the proof of funds calculation is 3. If you are immigrating to join your spouse who is already a Canadian citizen living in Canada, your family size for the calculation is 2. This rule exists because IRCC's definition of financial responsibility is based on your legal and moral obligations to your entire immediate family, not just their physical location or immigration status. The government needs to be sure that your ability to settle in Canada will not be compromised by your global family responsibilities. The 6-month rule is IRCC's primary tool for enforcing the verifiable funds principle. Your bank letter must show the average balance of your account for the past 6 months. And this is not just a formality. It allows the immigration officer to establish a baseline of your financial stability and to see if the money is genuinely yours. This leads to a critical concept: the pre-assumption of borrowing. Any large, sudden deposit that significantly changes your 6-month average balance is an immediate red flag for an officer. The officer is trained to automatically presume that this money was borrowed or temporarily deposited unless you prove otherwise. The burden of proof is 100% on you to provide a comprehensive, credible explanation supported by robust documentation such as a notarized gift deed or property sale documents. If, on the other hand, funds have been in your account for more than 6 months, they become part of your established financial history and typically require less explanation. Navigating a large deposit or a complex financial history can be stressful. If you are worried about how to document your funds correctly, this is a perfect time to get professional help. Click the link in the description to book a consultation with our team, and we can help you build a clear and credible financial narrative for your application. While the golden rules are universal, the amount you need varies significantly by program. IRCC calibrates the financial requirement to the risk profile of each stream. The more support you have, the less you need to show. For Express Entry's Federal Skilled Worker and Trades program, the requirement is highest because applicants often arrive without a job. It's mandatory unless you have a valid Canadian job offer. In contrast, Canadian Experienced Class applicants are exempt entirely. Programs with building support have lower requirements. The Atlantic Immigration Program, for example, is employer-driven, so the required funds are substantially lower. Similarly, some provincial nominee programs are more flexible if you have a job offer, blending your settlement funds with your projected income. For temporary stays, the focus is on covering your specific trip. International students must prove that they can pay for their first-year tuition plus a set amount for living expenses, which has recently increased significantly. A guaranteed investment certificate, or GIC, is a great way to prove this. For a visitor visa, there's no set amount. You just need to prove that you can afford your planned trip. Finally, in family sponsorship, the financial responsibility shifts to the sponsor in Canada. For spousal sponsorship, the sponsor signs a legal undertaking to support their spouse for 3 years with no specific income requirement in most cases. The parent and grandparent program is the strictest. The sponsor must prove their income has been above a high threshold for the last 3 years and signs a 20-year undertaking. For all programs, the specific amounts are updated regularly, so be sure to check the official IRCC website for the latest figures before you apply. Now, let's get tactical. Successfully proving your funds often comes down to the quality of your documentation, especially in complex situations. Hi, if you've got any value from this video so far, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. It will really help push my content to more people in your situation. And feel free to leave a comment or questions down below. Your official bank letter is the primary document. A letter that misses any required component can lead to refusal. Here's a non-negotiable checklist of what it must include. First, it needs to be on the financial institution's official letterhead. It also needs to include the bank's full contact information, address, phone, and email. And it also needs to state your full name. Additionally, it needs to list all your current bank investment accounts. And for each account, it must specify the account number, the date the account was opened, the current balance, the average balance for the past 6 months, and finally, it must list any and all outstanding debts you have with that bank, such as credit card debt or loans. If you have a large deposit from selling property or an investment, you must build an unimpeachable document trail. For sale of property, while the equity itself is not allowed, the cash from the sale is perfectly acceptable once it is in your account. You will need to provide the following documents: proof of ownership, like a title deed, proof of sale, notarized sale agreement, proof of payment, like a wire transfer confirmation, proof of deposit, so that's your bank showing that the funds arriving. It is highly recommended to include a short letter of explanation or LOE to connect to all these documents for the officer. Using gift money is allowed, but is subject to intense scrutiny to prove it is a genuine gift and not a disguised loan. The central document is the gift deed. This must be a formal legal document, not just a simple letter. Crucially, the gift deed must be notarized and contain an irrevocability clause. This is a legal statement affirming that the donor has no right to reclaim the money and you have no obligation to repay it. You must also provide a clear money trail, which means submitting bank statements from both the donor, showing money leaving their account, and from yourself, showing the exact same amount arriving in your account. So be aware that the source of the gift matters. A gift from an immediate family member, like a parent, is generally considered plausible. However, a large gift from a friend or a distant relative is a major red flag and will be scrutinized far more intensely, as it falls outside normal financial behavior and can raise anti-money laundering concerns. Now, let's address the top 5 questions I hear from clients about proof of funds. Question number 1. My bank won't provide the 6 months average balance on their official letter, so what should I do? This is a very common problem. The solution is simple. First, get the best letter the bank is willing to provide. Then, supplement it with certified official bank statements for the last 6 consecutive months. Finally, include a concise letter of explanation in your application, stating that the bank could not provide the average balance and directing the officer to the attached statements for the complete history. Question 2. Can I use funds in my spouse's account if they're not coming with me to Canada? The answer is yes, but you need very strong proof of access. A simple letter from your spouse will not be enough. You must provide a legal document like a notarized power of attorney or a sworn affidavit that grants you full and unconditional authority to access and use those funds for your settlement in Canada. Question number 3. I received a large cash gift from my parents. How do I document this? You should avoid large cash deposit whenever possible. They're extremely difficult to trace and are a huge red flag for officers. So the best practice is always to have the gift transferred electronically from your parents' bank account directly to yours. If a cash deposit is absolutely unavoidable, you must provide an extremely robust documentation package, including the notarized irrevocable gift deed, a supporting affidavit from your parents, explaining where the cash came from, and any proof of their withdrawal from their bank. Question 4. How soon before applying should I sell my property or liquidate stocks? Well, these transactions should be completed well in advance of submitting your application after you receive an ITA. The entire process from the sale agreement to the funds clearing in your account can take weeks or months, and you must have the liquid cash present and stable in your account before you submit your application. It is advisable to have the transaction fully completed at least 1 to 2 months before your 60-day application deadline. Question 5. Do I need to keep the full proof of fund amount in my account after I submit the application? The answer is yes, absolutely. IRCC regulations state that the funds must be available to you both when you apply and when your visa is issued. And IRCC can request updated proof of funds at any point during processing. So if your balance dropped below the required amount, your application could be refused. Furthermore, a CBSA officer can ask you for proof of your funds when you land in Canada as well, so the money must remain accessible until you arrive. As you can see, the details matter. Every situation is unique, and what works for one person might not work for another. If any of these questions sound like your situation, do not leave it to chance. Use the consultation link in the description to get personalized guidance for your specific case. So before you hit submit, run your documents through the final 7-point check to catch common mistakes. 1. Have you included everyone, even non-accompanying family members, and those who are already Canadian citizens or PRs? 2. Does your letter contain every single required element, including the 6-month average balance and the list of all the debts with that bank? 3. Is every large deposit in the last 6 months fully explained with a clear paper trail and a letter of explanation? 4. Have you ensured that you are not using any borrowed money, lines of credit, or equity from property? 5. If you have a gift, is the deed notarized? Does it state that the gift is irrevocable, and is it supported by a clear money trail from the donor to you? 6. Are you prepared to keep your funds above the required threshold from the moment you apply until the day you land in Canada? 7. Are you positive that you are meeting the correct requirement? The rules for express entry are not the same as for spousal sponsorship, so double check the rules for your specific stream. Mastering your proof of funds is not about being wealthy, it's about being diligent, transparent, and prepared. The goal is to build a financial narrative that is so clear and well documented that it leaves no room for doubt in the immigration officer's mind. So take your time, gather your documents meticulously, and follow the steps we have outlined today. Your effort now will pay off immensely. Your Canadian dream is too important to risk on documentation error. If you want an expert eye on your file to ensure everything is perfect, our team is here to help. Click that link in the description to book a one-on-one consultation with me. If you've made it this far to the video, thank you so much for your support. And if you get any value from this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe buttons, because it will really help push my content to more people in your situation. And if you feel like this video would be helpful for somebody else, by all means share it. And if you have any comments or experience you would like to share, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video.